Hello everybody and welcome back to the Farming Simulator 25 map guide. Today we're going to be taking a look at Pfraunstetten. But before that, this video is brought to you by Mojo, Jojo, and Midwest Farmer. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Pfraunstetten map can be found at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for all platforms. Now, while the download here says it's going to take 480 megabytes to download, that does not factor in the 9 required mods. If we factor in the 9 required mods, we're looking at a total download size of 785 megabytes. Let me read you some of the description. Welcome to beautiful Swabia. This map is set between two areas with real road layouts and field layouts and reflects the typical Swabian fare. What awaits you on this map, you might ask? Well, this map includes multiple new crops, more soil angles, stubble destruction, 3 different farms that vary in layout and size, 1 decorative farm that can be sold to build your own farm there. More on those in a little bit. We have a carpentry shop with production for wood sales, 130 fields, meadows, and forest areas, ranging from 1 hectare to 15, various selling outlets such as a farm shop. You can take water from ponds and rivers. There's plenty of forests as well, and no field entrances were forgotten. That seems to be important. Now, with respect to the required mods, we have the placeable hedges, bunker silo set modular, floor plane weighing station, modern house set, modern pigsty, cowshed with garages, system hall, crone trailer pack, and the big garage 2030. Once you have all of that in your mod folder, you'll be able to load up the map. And when you do, well, this is what you're going to be greeted with. If we take a look at our PDA here, you're going to see that we start in the south of town, and town itself is kind of just north and west of the map's center, with the center of the map really being farmland ID 37, which we do own at the start. If you do select to not own the starting farm, well, you obviously won't own any land. You also will not own the starting farm, which is at farmland ID 91, but all the buildings will be there. You also do not have any starting machinery if you do not own the starting farm. Now, as far as the farmland that we own at the start, as I mentioned already, we have farmland ID 91. That is going to be the starting farm, and that is going to include a cow, sheep, and chickens, as well as a couple productions and bale storage and farm silo and several other things. You can buy this if you do not own the farm for $61,339. As far as other areas that you own at the start, well, just south of the main farm, just south of field 39, we have farmland ID 94. This contains a big shed as well as 2 pigsties. That we own that, and you can buy that if you do not own it for $20,921. Continue to make our way down south. We have farmland ID 15, which we own at the start. That can be bought for $22,385. As far as additional farmland that we own at the start, we've already mentioned farmland ID 37 for $400,278. Farmland ID 43 for $61,239. Farmland ID 56 for $71,923. And Farmland ID 57 for $132,159. Now, as far as other notable things on this map that we can own, we have a cow area over here all by itself at Farmland ID 110. We can buy that for $6,886. I had struggled to figure out really where the deco farm was, where the third farm was, and we're going to go with the third farm here at farmland ID 92, just to the west of our starting farm. That's going to be buyable for $25,172. Now, this has basically 1 building on it that we can sell. We can't really sell a whole lot of any one particular farm. We can sell select buildings here and there, but that's about it. And really, I would say this map probably isn't the best map to be trying to sell things, because certain things won't sell that are associated with a building. For example, some of these cow areas, or pig areas, I should say, if you sell those, well, certain segments of the exterior wall remain. Not necessarily the best if you want to make use of this area for something else. Down here, Farmland ID 86, we have what I'm going to call the second playable farm. That's going to be viable for $142,479. This area is quite diverse in the fact that it has 8 greenhouses, a strawberry field. We also have 2 cow areas, a biogas plant, and then several farm buildings. Again, there are select things here that you can sell, other things which you cannot. And other than that, I really struggled, like I said, to really figure out where the third farm might be or where the deco farm is that you can sell everything, because I really didn't find anything on the map that was overly evident that we could sell everything. And I even used the console command to buy all the possible farmlands, and I still struggle to be able to sell things. We also have little interesting pockets like Farmland ID 109 and Farmland ID 110 that have little sheds on them that you can buy and delete, and then hopefully put something else down if you want to. $15,961 for Farmland 108, and for Farmland 109, $5,148. Now this map does have a custom soil map, and we can see that exposed here as far as our fields go. You see field 37 pretty much has a smattering of all the different soil types. Field 57 is predominantly going to be silty clay, and then field 56 is predominantly sandy loam, and field 15 is basically entirely loamy sand. But that gives you a little bit of an idea of where you're going to find certain soil types. Now, with respect to our crop counter, for our base game crops, we have our standard crop counter. But of course, this map has several additional crops. Let's toggle back over those and take a look. We have our standard FS25 crops, but then we have humus active. That's kind of a mix, I think, between sunflowers and sorghum, I think. We have mustard, silage maize, rye, triticale, spelt, vitesh rye, green rye, and field grass. So if we take a look at our crop counter, we can see we do have custom growth and harvest schedules for all of these additional crops. With respect to our starting animals, we start out with 6 chickens at the main farm. We also start out with 11 cows, no pigs, and then we have 8 sheep, goats. We have 8 goats at the main starting farm as well. With respect to contracts, this map does have contracts scattered throughout the map, including our new FS25 contracts of dead wood and wood transport. I can only assume that our stone crushing is also going to be there from time to time. Now, with respect to our productions, a lot of the productions are going to be based on what land you own. But starting out, you're going to own the dairy production at the main farm, grass drying at the main farm, mineral feed production again at the main farm, an oil mill again at the main farm, and the small glass greenhouse, which is really a garden area, again at the main farm. We can buy a bakery, carpentry, and a sawmill in town as well. If we do own Farmland ID 86, well, we will have again 8 greenhouses, a strawberry field, and then some additional productions that we have duplicated here, like a dairy, grass drying, mineral feed. And we're going to go ahead and buy those here in a little bit, and then we'll come back to our productions. Now, with respect to sell points, I counted out 5 distinct sell points scattered around the map. I counted out 21 productions, just to give you an idea of scale here. We're going to take a look at our vehicles here in a little bit. We do not own any hand tools, and this map reports 0 collectibles. With respect to our starting fleet, again, if we own the farm, then this is the machinery that we can expect to see at the start. We got a Fendt 720 Vario medium tractor. We have a 311 Vario small tractor, And we have the Skoda Kodiaq vehicle. For a telehandler, we have a universal bucket, bale fork, and wrapped bale handler. We have the Fendt Cargo T740 telehandler. We have then the Krone Tandem trailer, and then we have a pair of tandem trailers. And you see these have been set up to basically hold all sorts of fill types. We have the Horsch Credo 3, a pair of those power harrows. We have the John Deere 980 cultivator. We have our Versa seeder, and this is typically paired up with one of these Credo power harrows. We have the Amazon ZGTS 10001 fertilized spreader. We have our Fliegl PFW 18,000 Max Line Plus slurry tanker and spreader. And then we have our Amazon UX 5201 Super fertilizer and herbicide liquid sprayer. We have the GMD 3123F front mower and the GMD 8730FF trailed butterfly mower. We also have the Faro 4010D Pottinger forage wagon. We have the John Deere C44-1R round baler and wrapper combination. We also have our RA142 TMR mixer. And then we wrap it up with the ABI Attachments 550 liquid tanker. Now, we do have quite the number of required mods, but the only really vehicle or implement required mod is going to be the Krone trailer pack. With respect to placeables, well, we do have several placeables that are listed as required mods, and as such, we will find that those are going to be available here in the build mode across all of the various areas. We also have a custom bakery we can put down. We have a custom small grain mill, an oil mill that we can put down here at the farm, as well as our mineral feed production. So it's nice to see those. And then with respect to our ground textures, got a fairly standard listing of FS25 ground textures, it looks like. Fairly standard trees and fairly standard shrubbery. I've gone ahead and bought several of the areas that we just previously talked about with respect to Farmland ID 86, 108, 109, 110, and of course we own Farmland ID 91. I also picked up Farmland ID 92. That way we can kind of take a look at that later on in the video. But I do want to come back here to our productions now that we own both of those large farms, and kind of just run down through the productions that we have available. We have a bakery. We're going to be making our bread and cake here. Looks fairly standard. We have a biogas plant, again, down at Farmland ID 86. We do have 2 dairies at the various farms. Fairly standard productions there. We have our grain mill. We have a single-placed grain mill for flour production. We have 2 hay dryers. They're going to be able to take grass, straw, wood chips. And for hay, we're going to need to do grass and wood chips or grass and straw. We have several tarp greenhouses, again, down at Farmland ID 86. They're going to require seed, solid fertilizer, and water. And they're going to produce chili peppers, garlic, lettuce, Napa cabbage, spring onion, strawberries, and tomatoes. We have a mineral feed production, which is going to require canola, hay, potatoes, and silage to make mineral feed. We have our oil mill, canola, long grain rice, olives, rice, and sunflowers. We have a small glass greenhouse, which again is going to be seed, solid fertilizer, and water. This is actually a garden area at the main starting farm. Again, seed, solid fertilizer, and water. And then our strawberry field, seed, solid fertilizer, straw, and water. And with that, well, oddly, with our strawberry field, oddly named because we can make chili peppers, garlic, lettuce, Napa cabbage, spring onions, strawberries, as the name would imply, and tomatoes. So it's kind of interesting there, but we have this added aspect of needing to provide straw for this larger field of basically greenhouse products. Again, are available to buy. We have a fairly standard bakery, carpentry, and sawmill. Here on our main starting farm, this is exactly where we load in when we start a brand new save. We have a sleep trigger right around the corner. This is that greenhouse that I mentioned. That's basically the garden. We have our wardrobe trigger. So we're going to provide water here. We're going to do our interactive icon there. We have our palette point for our fruits, our vegetables. Got our water tanker. And I just wanted to see if we can go inside the shed. It doesn't look like we can. Maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity there. We could have had one of those storage sheds where you can store hand tools. We have our chickens. So we have our buy point here for our chickens. We have 6. We can store a total of 10 in this open pasture. We have our food. Then around the corner, we're going to have our egg point for our chickens. We do have bale storage down here as well for 250 bales. Right now we have 9 silage bales. This is going to be our output for that, our input for that. Making our way over here, we have our hay dryer or grass dryer right here. So we have our interactive icon. We have our dump point for our dryer and our fill point for our dryer. This is going to be for our mineral feed production. So we have our dump point to go into our mineral feed. And we have our output pipe for mineral feed. Here we have additional bale and pallet storage. We have 7 straw bales stored in here. So we can see we have our load point. So we're going to need our telehandler to put bales in. We have our unload trigger here. And then our bales are going to spawn down here. Right around the wall, we have our silo. So we have our dump and fill pipe. This is going to be, as best as I can tell, a wood chip cell point. Kind of like a biomass heating plant. I'm just going to go off of that based on the texture that we see inside. We need to open the lid in order to bring that up. Now, if I bring it back up, and if we go to our PDA here, sadly, we do not get an icon to pop really tell us exactly what that is. It would be nice if one of these hotspots popped up there when it was open. That way we kind of knew exactly what was supposed to go into there. We have 2 storage areas here for kind of our root crops, or our forage. Those are not silage bunkers. We have our cow area for a total of 30 cows in this particular area. The icon is not really where it should be, and it's really sensitive to get in the right hotspot. But there we go. We have 11 of 30 cows. We have our straw trigger there. We have our food trough. Then we have our milk trigger. We're going to get our manure spawning here. We have our slurry point right down the hill. And then on the back side of the farm, we have our workshop trigger. That extends over to here as well, because we did have this baler in the workshop. Here we have our small dairy production. We have our interactive icon there. We have our pallet point. This is going to be where we're going to provide milk into our dairy, I believe. Let's come back and double check on that. Then here we have an oil mill. So we have our input for our oil mill. Our interactive icon for our oil mill. Then we have our pallet point for our oil mill. So I like these little productions at the farms. Nice small scale. Then around the side, well, this is going to be a little farm shop. Right, so right around the corner, we have a farm shop where we can sell the goods that we produce at our farm. And we can also bring logs down here, and that would be your wood cell trigger. So that's the starting farm area. The other thing we really skipped over was this machine shed located right there. So farmland ID 91 right here. I mentioned that there is a cow pasture or a cow barn just north of the main farm at farmland ID 110. I did go ahead and pick that up, and we're going to be able to find that, I believe, right here. So we have our slurry, and this only pops if you buy the land, of course. We can put 20 cows in this area. We have our food trough, straw there as well. And we just got some nice machine storage in this kind of multi-comboed structure. Right up from that, we also have the bakery in town that we could purchase. I mentioned we had farmland ID 92 adjacent to our starting farm, which is located right here. And of this, well, there really isn't a whole lot that we can sell. I'm pretty sure the only thing I was really successful in selling at this area was these two buildings right here. The rest of this stuff is pretty much permanent. So these are just two kind of farm sheds that, again, if we own this land, we can make use of. Well, we should be able to make use of. Looks like we just need to sell those. Right next to that, we do have a sell point. Let's make our way south of our starting farm to the two pig areas that we own at the start. These are at farmland ID 94. So we have two pig areas. Each are going to hold a total of 150 pigs. So we have our slurry point. We have our food point here. Slurry. Delivery trigger. And then our food again. We've got a nice machine shed here as well at this area. And if we continue to make our way south, we're going to come along the other farm, and I have already purchased this, as we've already talked about. This is where we have our strawberry field. Kind of a neat little concept. So we have our interactive trigger there. We have our pallet point in front of these parked cars. And then we have our dump point for our water and our other goods. We have the 8 tarp greenhouses located right here. Right, so we have our pallet point. And then on the water side, we have our water, we have our interactive icon, and everything. So we have 8 of those. We have a biogas plant here at Farmland ID 86. We also have 2 cow areas. First cow area we're going to talk about is going to include 100 cows. We have our food trough. We have our straw trigger in here as well. Well, we should have our milk trigger somewhere around here. It's like around the back. Here we have our hay dryer input at the second farm. We do have a grain silo here. Bale storage with a little elevator, looks like. Pretty cool. Very similar to the first farm, we have our loading point up here. Then the second cow area, we're going to have just a total of 10 cows here. Perfect as a little calving area. We have our straw, we have our food. That's going to be our fill plane, probably for our grass dryer. We've got our milk trigger there. Workshop trigger. There's going to be a small farm and dairy again. Pallet point. We have our input for our milk. There's going to be a small farm bakery. Pretty neat. We have our inputs, we have our outputs. We have our sleep trigger, our wardrobe trigger. We have another greenhouse here as well. And we've got a couple silage bunkers over here also, and that's going to be Farmland ID 86. Now we like to take a look at the PDA a little bit. Come back up here. The rest of this map is predominantly going to be agriculture or forestry. So we took a look here at our starting farm. We went south to our pigs. We went south to this big kind of vegetable and dairy operation with some nice small productions as well. We missed the grain mill. Let's visit that. It'll be our manure heap. So we've got a grain mill. Looks like we have another pallet and bale storage. Another farm shop here. Pretty neat. There's the That's where we went wrong. Right, so we have our dairy, we have our bakery, we have our flour mill. It's just got a 3-bay garage here for storage. But what I was getting at is the rest of this map, really down here to the south, is going to be predominantly agricultural fields. Nice rolling hills. We make our way across the eastern side of the map. Again, we've got some nice rolling fields here. Our largest forestry area is going to be right here in the northeast corner. Got another small forestry patch right here, and then we have a stone crusher, stone pit. It's basically going to be for selling our stones. Got a nice out of the way area over here. Then we have more forestry to the north, west. And we'll make our way back kind of towards the town area. We talked about our bakery, which is located right here. There we have that small cow area that we purchased. Here we have a sell point for some root crops. At our agricultural trader, we have the ability to buy seed, fertilizer over here. So we have seed, fertilizer, and lime as far as buy points. You're going to find a wood sell point here as well as other things. Should be able to buy fuel here. Right, so we have our fuel. We have our land handow. Across the street, we have the village shop. We have our carpentry production. We have our sawmill we're going to get to next. And a wood chip station. That's going to be a buying station for wood chips. So we have our carpentry, wood chip buying station, then our sawmill. We have our animal dealer, located right here. And then we're going to have the ability to buy manure and buy slurry. We have our starting farm, located right there. And that's predominantly what we're going to find here on this map. We do have a water fill point just down the road over here by Farmland ID 109. It's going to include one of these small sheds. Right, so we have a little spot here for water. One of these sheds that we can use if we own the land. We have another one of those sheds located right here. Again, if we own the land. And that's about it for Pfraunstetten. Pfraunstetten. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below with respect to this map. Which farm do you like the most? The starting farm? I kind of favor Farmland ID 86. Just because it has quite the variety of things going on. Specifically this strawberry field, which could be kind of neat. Role play that people come and pick strawberries or whatever else you may decide to grow here. Of course, you've got the large greenhouse operation as well. So we've got quite the variety of gameplay possibilities. We've got our small production in the bakery, the dairy, and the flour mill here on the farm. We have our bigger cow barn. We've got kind of our calving area there as well. And overall, looks pretty nice. Until next time, happy farming.